very much again. So could you please tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, no, definitely. So I'm a UX content strategist right now at Ring Central. I started there in June. Before that, I was a UX content strategist at CallRail, and I'm based in Atlanta, Georgia, the United States of America. And before I entered UX writing in 2018, I was a journalist for about 10 years. I always wanted to be a sports journalist, actually, growing up. Kind of fell in love with telling stories and learning about people's lives based around sports. I always enjoyed sports, but I really fell in love with telling stories related to sports. So I went to college for that and was in the industry for about 10 years. And so I made the transition over to UX writing in 2018, and I've really enjoyed learning and growing within that field since, and sharing some knowledge that I hope can benefit people along the way as well.
Thank you very much. Yesterday I actually read a lot on UX writing. I was taking the free UX writing course by UX Writing Hub. Yeah. So
Mhm.
when normally I believe that, or will I say, with what I learned from some people on LinkedIn, okay, like Victor Edu, I'm not sure you know him. He said something like, before anyone should come out to start building their brands, they should think of the problem that they want to solve. So looking at UX writing now, what problem do you think UX writers should have in mind to solve before they start announcing that they are UX writers?
That's a good question. I think it's just all about personal growth, and you can still share your story, I believe, no matter your place within your journey. I've known people who've shared their journey of just trying to break into UX writing. They haven't been UX writers yet, but they're sharing what they're going through and just the path they've taken to try to get into the field. So I think that's an interesting approach as well. But just overall, like being a part of the field and growing within it once you're inside it, I think it's just all about just keeping an open mind and knowing that you can constantly learn on this job. And there's so many different problems that we're trying to solve for users depending on where you work. And there are just so many different things that are interesting and challenging if you enjoy solving problems with words. So yeah, I'd just say just always be eager, always be open-minded, be empathetic too. I think empathy is a really important trait for UX writers and people who are trying to break into the field. We always want to make the user feel empowered and have them just be confident about what they're trying to accomplish within the experiences that we create and that we as UX writers and content designers help create with words. So yeah, I think it's all about being a curious, empathetic person who just feels good about making users feel empowered within experiences. And as long as you do that, I think you can share what you know and what you gained along the way, because each of us has a unique perspective. And it's really fun to hear about what other people have gained throughout previous experiences and how that helps them with their current life as UX writers or as people trying to break into the field. So yeah, I'd say if you're willing to share your voice as much as possible, and that benefits us all too.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Now, let's say recently, I've been talking about UX writing a lot on my WhatsApp status and on LinkedIn too. And then, even though I understand the concepts a bit, when people ask me, what is this UX writing about? Sometimes I feel like I cannot really explain it in one sentence. Is it possible to talk about it in one sentence and then explain it in details?
I'd say it really just depends on the situation, but boiled down, I'd say UX writing is all about creating clear, concise, useful language that makes users feel empowered when working through a particular task within an experience that you as a designer are helping create.
Oh, all right. So creating experiences, trying to make them understand, let's say take them through a journey of the product. I get it.
Mhm. Yeah.
Now I noticed some synonyms about UX writing, and even when I checked them online, it's as if some people are saying there's a difference, some people are saying there is no difference. Like the synonyms, content design, UX writing, conversational design. So is there really any difference, or they are just the same thing?
I'd say there's a lot of similar goals between all of them. Some of the differences can be small in some instances. Some organizations treat content strategy is somewhat different than content design, or UX writing is different than content strategy, things like that. But I think in all, they try to accomplish the same goals. We shouldn't get too caught up in job titles and what they are. In a lot of ways, though, like as a UX content strategist, I feel I'm doing the work of a content designer a lot. So you've seen a lot of organizations actually shift the job title from UX content strategist to content designer now. So that's a trend that's pretty popular within the industry right now. And then conversational designs sometimes has to do with creating different flows for chatbots, or just kind of some intelligence for automatic responses that you see on websites that people type questions into, things of that nature. But at heart, we're all doing the same thing. We're all trying to guide the user through an experience with words. And so it's just super important to keep these foundations out front of mind whenever you're doing this job. Just like I said earlier, just making things as clear, concise, and as useful and as just easy to understand as possible. You want to be conversational. You want to be warm when that's necessary and inviting. You want to make the user feel, still want to make the user, just try to find out what they need to know at a moment. If they're looking at an error message, you want to provide them with what they need to do next to get out of that situation. You don't want to be too cute, or have a situation where you're using humor in that instance. You want to just be straightforward and let them know that, hey, this is how you solve this problem, and do this next. So it's all about the situation and the moment that you're designing for. But I think all the things you mentioned there have the same goals in mind, and so we shouldn't get too caught up in job titles and what they mean, and we should all keep the users' needs at the forefront of our minds as we're designing things.
Yeah. All right. I get it now. So on your LinkedIn profile, I noticed, usually I noticed that with some people, the way they pass information, they kind of want to find this uniqueness. Now, like I know a guy that uses mostly carousels, and then I know you use question and answer session. So like,
Mm-hmm.
what are you really trying to achieve with that?
Oh, I think it's just helping people. I really enjoy the Q&A format. I actually did it with UX Writing Hub on their Facebook group a while back, and I really enjoyed just that experience. It was about an hour long over lunch. I took questions from people in a live format, and it was really fun. I thought, hey, I could carry this over to my personal LinkedIn page, I feel like. And so I started asking people for questions in that way, and I kind of plan it out. I just kind of have an email thread going, my personal email account, where I'm taking people's questions in and putting them in a slot, usually 2 days a week, like Thursdays and Fridays. I usually reserve for answering questions. So as long as I keep getting questions, I think I'll continue it because it's a lot of fun. But yeah, I really just enjoy helping people. And I think there's a need for people to answer questions out there in public forums like LinkedIn, where people can find things pretty easily if they have questions. Because I always feel like if people have a question, there are maybe 5 to 10 or more people out there who have the same question. So it could help people along the way as well who might have that same question if they're reading things. So yeah, I'd just say it started from that experience of the AMA session with the UX Writing Hub Facebook group. And then I continued it on with my personal LinkedIn page, and will continue to do it, I think, until I don't receive questions anymore or something like that. But I've really had fun with it so far, and I hope it helps people along the way. Not only people who are hoping to break in, but maybe people who are already in the field as well. And I think it's really interesting to see what questions people have and try to help people through my answers.
It's actually helpful. It actually helped me. And I'm still expecting my
Nice.
question to be answered though. You've not posted my question yet.
Oh yeah, no, I still have it in the slot. Yeah, it's coming. So yeah, I think I'm booked out for like 2 or 3 more weeks. So yeah, it's coming. Yeah, no, thank you for your question. It's a lot of fun to do this. So I really have a good time.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, one more question and we are done. I don't want it to be too long because I don't know if you are too busy. Yes. So
Mhm.
what's your advice for anyone
Oh no,
that
thank you so much. Yeah.
what's your advice on what's your advice for someone that wants to go into the UX writing journey? Like, what advice would you give that person for the UX writing journey to be easier for the person?
That's a great question. I think it really is a personal journey, and each person's journey is different. And mine was different than a lot of people who I've talked to. And so I think it's just all about having resilience is one. I think that it is so important, having that trait, because you will receive some roadblocks and people will say no if you're trying to break in. So I think it's just all about pushing forward if you really want this, and finding opportunities to build your portfolio and find freelance assignments or take UX writing challenges online. There are free challenges out there. You can do that as well, or you can do the 6 month long course that some organizations have too, and really dive into various parts of the UX writer's life. So I